Hi there, this is the video for the 6.11 lesson, Post-Cold War World Part 2. The post-Cold War world brought new challenges and opportunities in places around the globe. Americans saw daily headlines that made it clear that an understanding of the geography, economics, and culture of hotspots around the world was critical. One region of new concern was the Middle East, an area that can be defined in various ways. Some geographers group the Arab and Muslim countries of Southwest Asia with North Africa for cultural reasons. Others group the South Asian countries of Afghanistan and Pakistan with the Arab and Muslim nations because they share geographic characteristics and are predominantly Muslim. All agree that the region is complex and important. Goals for this lesson: identify on a map areas of tension in the Middle East after 1990, recognize characteristics of government and culture in key Middle Eastern countries, and summarize major issues in the Middle East that influence U.S. foreign policy. Okay, so what we're going to do today is complete the Middle East map online activity, complete the tension in the Middle East sheet, and take the 6.11 quiz. Begin today's lesson by completing the Middle East map activity. For additional help, refer to the Middle East map on chapter 39, pages 918. After you have finished the Middle East map activity, continue with the lesson by visiting the following websites and complete the tension in the Middle East sheet. So let's first do our Middle East map activity. Identify areas of tension in the Middle East after 1990 by dragging the name to the correct location. Alright, so let's go to our book, page 918, and let's look at some of the places we need to identify. Let's see here. So we have Afghanistan, Lebanon, Iran, Pakistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Syria, and Jordan. So let's try to look at our map. There we have Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. All right, let's try to remember that now for the activity, the map activity. So first, Lebanon, pointing there. After Lebanon, we have Israel, right below, pointing there. Then this country here is Syria, I believe. And then pointing the next, pointing here, that would be Jordan. And this country here in the middle, it would be Iraq. And right next to Iraq is Iran. This big country here at the bottom is Saudi Arabia. Then we have Afghanistan, and then lastly Pakistan. Let's make sure we got those all right. Very good. Learn more about the Middle East by clicking on the pop-up in each country. Okay, let's start here then with Lebanon. Capital is Beirut. Population about 4 million. GDP, government type is a republic.
The United States has had close ties with Lebanon over time, helping to preserve its independence and sovereignty. Along with the international community, the United States supports the United Nations efforts to maintain peace in Lebanon and provides assistance for the development of Lebanon's free market economy and for its security. The United States believes that Lebanon can be an important partner in working toward peace in the Middle East.
Okay, then let's look at Israel. Capital is Jerusalem. Government is a parliamentary democracy.
The United States has been a strong supporter of Israel's sovereignty and security since the nation was founded in 1948, and the U.S. continues to support Israel and to focus on Arab-Israeli and Palestinian-Israeli peace. The United States and Israel are strong trading partners, share cultural ties, and work together on military and technology endeavors.
Okay, next, Syria. Capital is Damascus. Government type, republic under authoritarian military-dominated regime.
During the 1990s, the United States and Syria worked together in some areas of concern, but that cooperation weakened after 2003 as the U.S. attempted to stop militants from entering Iraq, and as the Syrian government's regard for human rights diminished. Attempts to improve relations began in 2009. In March 2011, increasing anti-government demonstrations in Syria developed into armed conflict. relations between the United States and the Syrian regime worsened as the government of Syria used brutal and illegal means to quash opposition. As of 2014, the U.S. government had repeatedly called for President Bashar al-Assad to step aside and allow a representative government to be formed, and had provided humanitarian aid to displaced persons and refugees.
Okay. Jordan, capital is Amman, constitutional monarchy.
The United States and Jordan have a long history of good relations and mutual support. Both nations seek lasting peace in the Middle East, and both reject the use of terrorism and extremism in the region. The United States has provided assistance to help Jordan maintain its sovereignty and security, and to improve its economy and its people's standard of living.
Iraq, capital Baghdad, parliamentary democracy.
After more than a decade of warfare in Iraq, the United States removed its troops in late 2011. As of 2014, the U.S. continued to assist Iraq in developing its economy, building its democracy, and training its military in counterterrorism and security. As Iraq re-enters the international community after decades of dictatorial rule under Saddam Hussein, the United States hopes that its new government will be a constructive force in the region and that its economy will grow rapidly.
Saudi Arabia, capital is Riyadh, and it's a monarchy.
The United States and Saudi Arabia have maintained a strong diplomatic relationship since 1940. The two nations share a concern for peace in the Middle East and reject terrorism. Saudi Arabia is home to the world's largest oil reserves and has provided leadership in working for prosperity in the region. The United States supports Saudi Arabia by providing military training and expertise and by selling it military equipment.
Iran, capital is Tehran, a theocratic republic.
The U.S. government does not have diplomatic relations with Iran. Diplomatic ties were broken in 1980 after revolutionaries in Iran took control of the United States Embassy in Tehran and took American hostages. Additionally, the United States is committed to stopping Iran from developing nuclear weapons and confronting its support for terrorists and poor human rights record. As of early 2014, international sanctions and U.S. pressure resulted in a tentative agreement on Iran's nuclear program. But Iran's government still refused to acknowledge Israel as a sovereign nation and is known to support terrorist groups in the region.
Afghanistan, capital is Kabul, and the government is an Islamic Republic.
In May 2012, the United States and Afghanistan signed a long-term agreement in which the United States will remove its troops from Afghanistan, but the two nations will continue to work together against terrorism, one of the poorest countries in the world, and will work to assist the Afghan government as it takes full responsibility for the nation's security and develops a stable and representative government.
Okay, and then lastly, Pakistan. Islamabad is the capital, it's a federal republic.
The United States established diplomatic relations with Pakistan when it gained independence in 1947. Tensions over Pakistan's nuclear program damaged the relationship between the two nations in 1990, but the attacks of September 11, 2001, attacks in the United States by Afghanistan-based terror group Al-Qaeda, pushed the United States to work more closely with Pakistan on security and stability in the region. As part of this closer relationship, the United States named Pakistan a major non-NATO ally in 2004. Tensions in the decades since have grown with Pakistan's deteriorating political stability, but the United States continues to provide assistance in developing Pakistan's economy and its people's standard of living.
All right, that was the last one. So we'll close this out and go back. And now we have to complete the tension in the Middle East sheet. So if you go to Lesson Resources, you can open up the tension in the Middle East sheet, and then you can also open up the answer key right away, because there's going to be times where you're going to want to check your answers with the lesson answer key. Okay, so looking at the tension in the Middle East sheet, We have, as you visit the websites listed online, answer the following questions to help you better understand what life might be like in parts of the Middle East. And we have looking at Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, and Syria. Okay, so Afghanistan. First question, list at least 3 reasons for Afghanistan's poor economic outlook for the future, despite international aid and some progress. And then second question, what economic sector employs most of Afghan's people? What is their largest product? Okay, so let's go to the websites. Okay, so we have a CIA fact book and the U.S. Department of State website we're going to look at. So looking at the CIA fact book first. Okay, so we're going to go to the Middle East. Oh, actually, it might be in Central Asia. They might have Afghanistan listed. Let's see. Nope, they don't have that in Central Asia. So let's go back to the Middle East and find Afghanistan. It's not there either. Let's try this again. Back. They don't have in Middle East. East and didn't have in Central Asia. South Asia? There they have Afghanistan listed in South Asia. Okay, so we have it broken down into introduction, geography, people and society, government, so on and so forth. So our first question was what again? It was 3 reasons for Afghans' poor economic outlook for the future despite international aid and some progress. Okay, so we look at economy perhaps. And then it goes on to a summary. Afghanistan's economy is recovering from decades of conflict. The economy has improved significantly since the fall of the Taliban regime in 2001, largely because of the infusion of international assistance, the recovery of the agricultural sector, and service sector growth. Despite the progress of the past 2 years, Afghanistan is extremely poor, landlocked, and highly dependent on foreign aid. Much of the population continues to suffer from shortages of housing, clean water, electricity, medical care, and jobs. Criminality, insecurity, weak governance, lack of infrastructure, and the Afghan government's difficulty in extending rule of law to all parts of the country pose challenges to future economic growth. Afghanistan's living standards are among the lowest in the world. The international community remains committed to Afghanistan's development, pledging over $67 billion at 9 donors conferences between 2003 and 2010. Okay, let's just stop there. So we see what were some of their things they're struggling from: shortage of housing, clean water, electricity, weak governance, lack of infrastructure, and such. Okay, so now if we go back to our questions, name at least 3 reasons. You could put down infrastructure, lack of infrastructure. What else was there? Shortage of housing, weak governance, lack of clean water, electricity, medical care, jobs, so on and so forth. All those would be applicable. And if you look at your lesson answer key, it'll say some of the same things: criminality, insecurity, weak governance, lack of infrastructure, so on. And then what economic sector employs most of Afghanistan's people? What is their largest product? And if we go, we see the answer here says agriculture, 78% of them, and opium, interestingly enough. So if we go to close that up, and if we look at their, we'd already looked at economy, not people and society. Well, maybe it's further in the economy. We didn't go all the way down. Okay, agriculture, products, opium, wheat, fruits, nuts, wool, mutton, sheepskins, lambskins. So that's where you get that information there. So as you can see, this is going to be a lot of going around searching for the answers in your where did it go? for your fact sheet, your 10th in the Middle East. So continue going through this. We're almost out of time on this video, so we'll finish it up on the next one.